Now, tonight, the police need your help to solve the murder of Caroline Osborne. As always, this is the number to ring if you can help. We'll be showing this and local numbers throughout the programme.
At the time of her death, Caroline was 33 and running a successful small business near Leicester. It's now almost exactly a year since she was killed, but still the police don't know certain crucial details of her life or about what happened. What follows now is a reconstruction based on the evidence there is of Caroline's last hours. At 6 o'clock on the evening of Friday, July the 29th last year, Caroline Osborne had finished work and returned home to 107 Danvers Road off the Narborough Road in Leicester.
There you go, Tammy. You're on now.
Caroline ran a small business, clipping and grooming dogs. She had over 700 customers, so she was quite a well-known figure in the area, collecting and delivering her clients' pets.
Don't worry, Tammy. We'll go for a walk soon, yeah? Yeah. There you go.
People who knew her say she was a quiet person, and there was really only one subject she loved to talk about, and that was dogs. Caroline loved all animals. She'd had the holiday of a lifetime in November in 1982. These snaps were taken on safari in Kenya with her friend. Caroline enjoyed the country so much that she decided she wanted to live there. So, shortly after returning home, she advertised her house and business for sale. And then, without telling anyone, took herself to a local aero club and started a course of flying lessons. She felt that Kenya was a place where she'd need to be able to fly. It was about 6:30 when a neighbour saw Caroline setting off from the back of the shop to exercise 2 dogs. An eyewitness reports seeing her minutes later taking the path towards Aylstone Meadows, her usual route for walking her black Labrador and her neighbour's white dog, Tammy. And here was the last definite sighting of Caroline Osborne. Aylstone Meadows is a strange mixture of public park, river and canal, and industrial buildings. It's a popular area for local children to play on, and there's a busy section of the Grand Union Canal with its locks and towpath. This footbridge was part of her usual walk. But there are some aspects of Caroline's life and business which still puzzle the police. For example, her van was a white Ford Escort. But more than 80 different witnesses recall seeing Caroline using a blue van to collect and deliver dogs at customers' houses and to take dogs for walks at a nearby park. The van didn't belong to Caroline, the precise make is not known, and neither the van nor its owner have ever been traced. Another few minutes' walk, and Caroline would have passed St Mary's Mills Lock. She was a private sort of person. There were some men in her life who even her closest friends didn't know. Some the police haven't yet traced. In March 1983, one of Caroline's customers collecting her dog from the shop saw someone else there. He seemed quite at home and remarked on the fact that they were all wearing blue clothes. The man's trainers and tracksuit trousers and his t-shirt were all dark blue. He wore a silver bracelet and digital watch and a silver medallion. So far, the police haven't been able to trace him. There was one other man seen with Caroline. A neighbour saw a man coming out of the back door of the shop and helping her with the dogs. He too has never been traced. Since he clearly knew Caroline, the police are anxious to identify him. At this point, Caroline could have taken one of two routes, but a later possible sighting seems to suggest she took this path towards the gas holder. Beyond this corner and from the other side of the canal, another witness caught a glimpse of someone, possibly Caroline, with a man running after her. That sighting was at 6:50 p.m, and if that was her, it was the last time she was seen alive. By 7:10, the black Labrador was seen heading home. The neighbours became concerned when they noticed the dog exhausted back at the shop without Caroline. One of them went to look for her on the meadows, but by 10:30 that evening, when there was still no sign of her, he telephoned the police. The following morning, the police search resumed, and it was then that the fate of Caroline Osborne was discovered. All night, the neighbour's white dog had been guarding her body. Caroline had been stabbed to death. Well, Detective Superintendent Alan Stagg is heading the investigation. It's a very large area to cover this, isn't it? Have you accounted for all the people on that day in Aylstone Meadows?
No, unfortunately we haven't. We have got 500 people sighted down there that day, but we've still got 25 unidentified men alone that we haven't been able to trace.
So you need them to come forward?
Yes, we do. It is a very popular place at that time of the year, but we've still been unable to trace them.
Anyone who saw anybody that day. What about those two men we saw?
Yes, the first one, the olive-skinned man with the medallion, he was seen in the shop in March by the witness, but more important, he was seen in the Huntsman Public House on the Narborough Road in Leicester on the following Sunday. And obviously, he appeared to be local, so he's not come forward, and we're anxious to trace him.
And what about the other man?
Well, the other man was seen there in May and June time, 2 or 3 occasions by a neighbour, and we think he may well have been a boyfriend of Caroline's, so obviously we need him to come forward as well.
Now, could that blue van have belonged to one of the two men, do you think?
Could have done. Totally bemusing. You know, we've got over 80 sightings of that blue van being used by Caroline Osborne, and yet we just don't know why she was using it.
Well, surely somebody must know something about that.
You'd have thought so. You know, I would have expected somebody who's lent to the van to come forward and see us, and yet they haven't. And I appeal tonight, of course, for the public to, if they do know anything about anybody lending her a blue van, then to contact us.
And finally, she had been married, hadn't she? Has her ex-husband, Gary Osborne, been able to help you?
Yes, we've had long chats with Gary, because obviously he's a singer. He has been with the Ray McVeigh Orchestra in the past, but in the 1970s he was with the Ivor Kenny Sound in Leicester, and a lot of people would have known Caroline through Gary. So I asked the public, of course, that if they do know Gary and have seen him with Caroline, then of course to contact us.
Right, and as we saw there, Caroline looked rather different there. So the number to ring in confidence, if there's any way you think you can help, is here on 811 8055, or at the incident room at Wigston in Leicester on 0533, that's the code for Leicester, 813 121, or on Leicester 813 122. That's Leicester 813 121 or 813 122.